On this episode of the Naturist Living Show, Bay to Breakers.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show is brought to you by Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. At Bare Oaks, we offer traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Free your body, free your mind. www.bareoaks.ca.
Welcome, dear listener, to episode 157 of the Naturist Living Show. My name is Stéphane Deschênes. I'm your host for this podcast and the owner of Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. And on today's show, Tim Chizmar is going to take us to the Bay to Breakers race, 2023 Bay to Breakers race. But before we do that, Samantha, do you want to tell us about who is supporting the show and who is keeping this particular episode going?
Yes, absolutely, Stéphane. We want to dedicate this episode especially to Heather C., Eric W., Shelley C., Paul K., and Mario G. Thank you so very much. We want to thank you all so much for your unwavering support. Your contribution means the world to me. It enables me to continue to create content that hopefully enhances your lives. And to all of our listeners, whether you're tuning in for the first time or have been with us from the beginning, thank you so very much. Your support and enthusiasm continues to be the driving force behind this podcast, and I'm endlessly grateful for each and every one of you. So, without further ado, let's jump right into today's episode, and thank you so much for listening.
So the last time that Tim did an episode for us, he's done a number of them, a few people took exceptions with some of the things that Tim has said in the past. And I didn't want to engage in it. I wasn't actually familiar with what he had said in that particular case. I didn't know about his view, one way or the other. I don't think that it actually impacts his report, for example, in this case, of his experience at Bay to Breakers. I don't believe in just trying to shut people down and blocking people because you don't agree or they don't agree with your values. And those are, there are extreme cases, of course, but Tim is not one of these people. I've known Tim for a while, and he's a good man, but he has some more conservative opinions, and that's okay. I think the only way we're going to get to understand each other and to work together is if we can discuss these. Disagree, of course, and discuss them. But none of the things that Tim has presented and talked about in the show have been controversial, at least not for me and not, I think, for most listeners. It's things that he may or may not have said in previous shows. And I say that because I don't know. I just know what one person said he does and what Tim himself said. So I'm going to give Tim a chance to talk to that briefly right now because he wanted to set the record straight in his opinion.
Yes, hi, this is Tim Chizmar. Hey, I wanted to speak to a little tiny bit of internet controversy. These days, everybody likes to get upset about everything and try to get all in an uproar and cause a stir, and everyone's a victim. Everybody wants to try to cancel everybody for everything. I just wanted to make it clear that I, Tim Chizmar, love everyone. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate any person, any group, anybody. When it comes to trans people and trans rights, I very much not only support and love, and I, recognize that trans people are valued members of the community and, wonderful human beings worthy of love and respect and admiration, just like anybody else. They are not people with, a mental disorder, as some people have tried to characterize them. So, in the event of any sort of, I'm also a comedian. I'm a nudist humorist. And sometimes I poke fun at everybody, including myself, especially myself. So if anybody's ever seen anything online where I'm poking fun at, anybody, it's, again, within the guise of humor and love and respect. when it comes to reporting for the Naturist Living Show podcast. And I don't want Bear Oaks or Stefan Deshane or anybody to have to, defend Tim Chizmar. And he is not giving a platform to hate or bigotry. It's not like that at all. I love, respect everybody. And it's good that we live in a time and an era where where there is no fear in being able to open and debate and discuss. And it's okay to have people who differ from your opinions so you don't live in a bubble. So it's not just you surrounded by yes men, but we're able to openly discuss and articulate and, by God, disagree from time to time, because that's how we grow as a people. And I am proud and honored to do what I do for the Naturist Living Show podcast or closefree.com or any of the groups and organizations and clubs that I'm involved in. I'm a lifetime Anner. I'm a lifetime TNS. I'm a lifetime Close Free. I'm a member of the SCNA, and I love it. And it's my life. And I'm actually recording this from Lupin Lodge, where I'm participating in Bear to Breakers and attempting to go to Bates Beach. So anyway, I live it. I love it. I love everybody. And I'm glad I've spoken to that. So you've heard it from me.
So the Beta Breakers is an interesting, I don't know if it's really a race. I guess it is a race because people do it for time, but a lot of people are walking, they're dressing up. It's more of a costume or an event. In 2023, there was about 18,000 registered runners. It's in San Francisco, I think I said at the beginning, and it's always been in San Francisco. And one of the things that's been unique about it for decades, I remember when I first got involved in naturism, I'd hear about this, is that people will do it nude. They'll walk it nude, and that's perfectly acceptable. So Tim participated in the 2023 race. So let's go ahead and let Tim tell us his story. He had a particularly interesting, unique experience that you'll hear about. So it's not just walking in the race.
It's me, it's him, it's TIM on the road driving up to Lupin Lodge. It is me, it is Sammy, and we are in the car with a man who has been doing Bear to Breakers for 20 plus years, and he knows it inside and out, which is great because I'm doing it for the very first time ever. I've heard a lot about it. I've seen pictures. I've seen video. Obviously, the people out there listening to this podcast are nudists, are interested in the nudist lifestyle, and it's great to keep you abreast on clothing optional events where you can participate and get involved. So we are on the way up, and we're going to talk a little bit about it, what the process is like, what the experience is like. So thank you so much for joining us and coming on the show, Fred.
Hi.
All right, Fred. So you've been going, am I right? Was it 20 years so far?
Yep.
Okay. So tell me about the first time you did it.
Well, the first time I did it, there was a man organizing it, and they reserved like a whole section of a hotel for us, and they set up a whole corral for just the nudists to be injected into the Beta Breakers parade from. And that was pretty cool. It was like 400 or 500 people there.
Mostly dudes, mostly men?
I would say it was about a 3-to-1.
Yep. 3-to-1. Well, that's interesting. And so right from the very beginning, you did it nude. Had you heard of it before you went?
Nope. I just happened, I don't even remember where I discovered it from, but I saw it somewhere in the media and I thought, wow, that's pretty neat.
So you joined, you went with this group, and then what is the reaction like on average from the general public? Are they aghast? Are they freaked out? Are they upset? Do they laugh and giggle? Do they join in? What's the reactions like?
Well, okay. You will get a lot of people who will want to take their picture with you to prove to their significant others, families, friends, wherever, that they were there and this actually happened. Most people will most people don't care. In fact, I've had a number of people ask me, God, I wish I had the courage to do that.
That's great. I've had that response to like my Jubilee videos and stuff like that. So that it always feels good when you think that you're making a difference. But, you know, one of the things that's always touchy is, you know, what about kids? I mean, how do people react when you're around kids? Does anybody freak out and you know, overly protective?
No. The Nude Runners have been a part of this since 1976, as I understand. And everybody knows that there are going to be nude people. So people who cannot handle nude people don't show up.
Well, that's great. I remember seeing some pictures on Flickr where there was a nudist couple, and they were walking it when the one woman was pregnant with their kid. Then they had the kid in a stroller. Then the kid was walking. So, like, literally, this kid grew up in the nudist family by doing these every year.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. One time I was walking along, and there was a woman with her little daughter sitting on the sidelines on a chair. And the little daughter said, "Oh, look, Mommy, that man is naked." And she said, "Yep, he sure is." And that was the extent of the conversation.
That's great. That's wonderful. I'm excited. Sammy, are you awake back there? All right, well, pop your head forward. What are you looking forward to in doing Bear to Breakers for the first time?
Just the experience itself, being naked in front of all those people, seeing the responses.
Now, you watched a little bit of video online, so how did that make you feel? Scared or excited, or what do you think?
Maybe kind of like, okay, this is going to be a lot, but it's going to be fun.
All right, it's definitely a bucket list thing for me. My friend Dan Hawkins goes every year, and he's an author. He's written books about nudism. D.H. Jonathan, you may know him as that. And when I saw the videos and the pictures from last year, I told myself, I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it. And of course, I didn't go to the gym as much as I wanted. I didn't practice, and I blinked, and here it is. But I didn't want to back out of it, and I wanted to go give it a shot. So, is there any ways that you're expecting this year to be different than in the past, Fred?
From the distant past, yeah. In the distant past, it was a much more wide open, free-for-all type of affair. They have gone to great lengths to try to clamp down on intoxicants, rowdy behavior, that sort of thing. If you're drunk or obviously high, they probably don't want you. No booze or intoxicants of any kind on the route.
Yeah, we were talking before, I guess there's parties off to the sides because there's a lot of people. There's definitely a fraternity vibe that's going on with crazy outfits and costumes. And so it seems like some people kind of sneak off to their own, but I'll know for sure when I give an update having participated to see what it's like, because you hear different stories from different people. But I'm really excited. I can't wait. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I just hope that nudists are represented. I'm staying at Lupin Lodge, and there is a shuttle that is taking us on Sunday early in the morning down there. And so I'm hoping that shuttle will be full of people who are getting naked as well, coming from Lupin. So I'm really hoping that there's power and unity of us all together.
Well, it would be really great if we could go back to the good old days. We had like 400 or 500 nudists all starting off together in a big group, but that'll require some organization.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Fred. Is there anything that you'd like to plug or anything just to get out there to the listeners for the Naturist Living Show podcast?
Well, okay, if you go to the Beta Breakers, there is absolutely zero difference in what you would do if you were wearing street clothes, you were naked, or you were in a costume. So being nude isn't a special thing. In fact, after you're a couple of miles down the road, they don't notice anymore, and that's the best part.
I love that. I was hanging out with some friends last night, and I got naked, and they were all clothed, and it didn't matter. We're just having a good time, and that's the way life should be. Live and let live. Freedom. All right. Thank you, Fred. It's me, it's him, it's TIM. We're still waiting for the shuttle to take us to Bear to Breakers, and I'm here with Neil. Don't ask for my last name, Neil. All right, Neil, so this is your first time doing the Beta Breakers?
Yes.
Okay. Man of few words. So, Neil, what made you want to do this?
I've always wanted to, and I finally got a day off.
Are you a nudist?
Yes.
Great. How long have you been a naturist?
I don't know, 6-7 years.
Is this your home club, Lupin, where we're at right now?
No. It used to be when I lived in Santa Cruz, but I don't live there anymore.
Okay. Where do you frequent? Do you have a regular club?
The one I go to is Laguna del Sol.
Excellent. All right. Great. Well, what are you hoping that you'll get out of this? What have other people told you about it?
I've just seen news clips, and it looks fun. And I like exercise.
Now, today you didn't buy a bib, so you're hoping to just kind of sneak your way onto the course, right?
I was told you could do one or the other. I'm doing the other.
I was told that by a rapscallion, a man wearing a black mask just after he robbed a bank. But I hope it works out for you, and we're real excited to all head over there together and find out.
There you go. Me too.
Action.
Hi everyone, Sammy Sim coming at you live from Lupin Lodge. Just got back from the Bear to Breakers run. Actually, I walked. It was my first time. It was great. My first time naked walking down San Francisco. It was an interesting experience. One I will definitely never forget. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of good reactions to us being naked. A lot of people were all for it. It was a great experience.
I'm glad you enjoyed your first time.
A lot of people, lots of people, lots of naked people. It was a good reinforcements for us nudists and naturists in the world. We all got this cute little medal.
This is our
for
uniform
participating
for the day.
as our uniforms for the day. I'm here with my co-host Tim Chizmar and our fellow nudie buddies Charlie and Dave. Charlie, tell me about your experience at Beta Breakers.
Well, this is my 25th year of running to Bear to Breakers. I started going as soon as I moved to California in the late 80s, and it was a nice walk. I had an enjoyable time and watched the mile markers go by, and I have to comment specifically on mile marker number 5, which shows a pile of naked people right there on the mile marker.
Although with some strategically placed icons.
Well, that's true, but this is...
But they were otherwise naked.
But yeah, so that was encouraging right there. And I met someone who was here from Chicago, and we talked for a while. She was very interested, and I enjoyed that. And I got to taking a couple of pictures with people. And I noticed this morning it was a little cooler than usual. I started off, I didn't even take my jacket off, although I was naked otherwise, until mile marker number 1 or 2. And then it got warmer and life was good, and then it got colder again as we got close to the ocean. But when I got
They really should pick a warmer environment to do this.
Yeah, that's right. We need to move the whole thing down to Los Angeles.
Right.
But I also got a great picture of me naked and posing in front of the finish sign, and a woman nicely took my picture.
Awesome.
I met some other friends, some naked friends along the way, and I just enjoyed the morning a lot. So I would recommend it to anybody, and particularly from my viewpoint, I think it's important for the naked body to be more seen in public. The people, they might think that your physique is not perfect, especially in my case, but they see there's a lot of kinds of naked people, and we're not ashamed, and why should we be?
Right.
So I am really all for that.
Awesome. How about you, Dave? How was your experience?
It was good. This was good. So this was my 2.5 time from doing Beta Breakers. So I'll start with a sad story, because I was signed up to do this. I've been in the area 10 or 15 years, knew this race was going on, knew people could do it naked, but had never done it. And just before COVID happened, I was actually signed up to go, but that year it rained, and it was just cold and it was miserable. I canceled at the last minute, and I'm kind of disappointed because I was supposed to go with Rich Pascoe, who's a longtime nudist activist in this area, and it ended up being the last year he did it. He died later that year. And it's really sad. So it's one of those, I missed out on my opportunity. was canceled the next year due to COVID, and I came back last year. It's like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, that was the like motivating factor. So last year is my first year actually doing it. First year doing the race, and I did it naked. Same way you started. It's good way to just dive into it. And it's fun. I haven't had any problems. And one of the things that Rich used to say, and that I noticed too, is there's a lot of people dressed up in costume. There's tons of people in costume for this. And there's people watching this along the sides, and some spectators are keeping track of the naked people running by. And there counts through 20, 30, 40. There's a good amount of participation. But there's also like kids on the course. So it's always like, how are kids going to handle the naked people running by? And they're completely oblivious. The kids are like, look, a salmon, look, a butterfly, like, look, there's Spider-Man. And you just run on by and it's like, doesn't faze them. They don't even notice. Like, that's not anything special. Like I want to see the people dressed up as superheroes. So that, I love that mindset, and just seeing that mindset. Similarly, when you're running through the race, like, the first mile or two, you pass some people, and they're a little surprised if all of a sudden there's a naked guy passing them. But by mile like 5 or 6, they've seen lots of naked people running past them. As Charlie's mentioned, it's kind of normalizing that. And people just get used to, there's another naked person running by. So by the finish line, like, you cross the finish line, you're back in the ending corral, whatever you want to call it, and everybody's packed in together. I was still naked then for a little while until I got too cold. But like, you could just be standing, and like I'm surrounded by textiles. There's hundreds of them around, and nobody has a problem with it. And it's like this snippet of what life could be like if we had more acceptance of nudity. So that's the main reason I love this event, is it kind of gives you that like hope. Maybe we'll get some larger acceptance. Maybe this just won't be this one event, and it'll grow to something more. So that's my favorite aspect of it.
So you mentioned Rich Pascoe, and you also mentioned about kids being oblivious. So I want to tell a favorite story from Rich Pascoe.
I bet I know this story.
You know it. So he was going by, and Rich, he basically is even more of a nudist than we are, and so he went barefoot, and so he was going by, and then the kid says, "Mommy, look, he's not wearing shoes."
Yeah. Doesn't matter, he's naked. It's like, he's running barefoot. Like, you gotta be crazy. Which I agree, I could never do that. But, yeah.
That's awesome. And I just love it, when somebody, maybe they're from Japan or overseas, or a lot of people come from all over the world, and they want me to be in the middle of two people, and they take a picture, and I think I go in their family album. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know how many people's photos I've photobombed just on the outskirts. Probably a lot.
There were definitely a lot of photos being taken today.
There are. There are cameras lining both sides of the course, and the official photographers. So if you're photo worthy, it's probably not the first event for you.
Hey. So what was your favorite part of the race? If you were to pick a particular part of the race today, what was your favorite part?
Oh, well, I really liked being at the finish line. You're out there and the ocean is roaring, and the woman asked me to take her picture in front of the finish line, so I said, yeah, I will. And then, could you do that for me? And so she did. So I have a fabulous picture of me with my joyful finish to the race. And when you've been so I'm not exactly athletic, and when you've been walking for 7 miles, you get a little tired. So when you're at the finish line, it's like, Yahoo! So that was my favorite part.
How about you, Dave? What was your favorite part?
I think it is the same, like that kind of the finish area. I wasn't as prepared this year. Like last year, I ran the whole race. This year, I've only been training 3 or 4 miles at a time. I wasn't ready for 7.5 miles, so it was more of a run-walk. But despite all that, I got through it and actually finished in a decent time. So I'm happy with how I've survived through. My calves and quads are a little bit sore right now. Luckily, we're sitting down and resting. So, but yeah, so surviving and just getting to the finish, that was the highlight.
We were here primarily for Bear to Breakers, as I circled it on the calendar last year, and I wanted to go. My nudist friend and writer, Dan Hawkins, who writes as D.H. Jonathan, wrote 3 nudist novels, And actually, me and Corky show up in a cameo at the end of his most recent book. So he went to Bear to Breakers and he took a lot of video footage. And we did an episode on CFI, closefree.com, which has been featured on the Naturist Living Show podcast in the past. And I circled it on my calendar and I said, I need to do this. I have to experience it. A 7.5 mile walk, run, trot, whatever you choose to do through San Francisco, buck ass naked. You don't have to wear any clothes. I had to experience that. I wanted to see what it was like for myself. And so we came out here for that. While I was here, I was shooting for CFI and then also getting audio for the Naturist Living Show podcast, which I love. And so this was fun. So I interviewed some people here at the lodge, and then we talked to some folks at Bear to Breakers and around Bear to Breakers. And we were hoping to hit Baker Beach, which is a nudist beach in San Francisco, but it doesn't look like that's going to work out time-wise. So that's okay. It's something to do the next time I come through. Now, let me give you my input on Bear to Breakers. I'm not the kind of guy, if anybody's listened to my interviews, I'm not a rose-colored glasses guy over here who just tries to act like everything and everybody and everywhere is all the Garden of Eden. It's not. There's good and there's bad in everything. So let me tell you first some of the good about Bear to Breakers and my experience. And of course, Sammy did it as well. So we went. And in particular, we ended up, Dan Hawkins usually does it by himself. Well, this year it was the three of us. And then we had people from the Lupin Lodge bus who joined our group. And then there was a group on Facebook for Bear to Breakers. So we ended up with around 10 people as a steady throughout the whole thing, which was good and bad. Like, it was comfortable to have more nudists around you. So you felt an air of protection from textiles who may want to hurt you, attack you, or sexually harass you. But we also became a target for some people because it wasn't just a nudist slipping through the crowd. It was, here comes the nudist. So, boom, 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 boom. So that was, I'll tell you the two negative instances that, I'm sorry, I don't want to run away from the good first. So there were people who would cheer and laugh and play music and wave and say, freedom. And, I'm so proud of you and I love your confidence and I wish I was like you. And there were people who were keeping track of the dicks. They had a sign hanging out their window, how many dicks they've seen walk by, laughing and smiling. And then there were tallies. Sorry, it's early in the morning. So there were tallies about how many naked people had went by. At one point when we walked by, it was 46 men and 6 women. 2 of the women I knew personally, and I saw a third, but I didn't get a chance to talk to her. And that was like what we were like, maybe in half of the race or something? Yeah. So there's probably at least double that. We've heard rumors about how much more nudity used to be in the past. There used to be whole corrals of people, like, 400 or so nudists that would start off together. And hopefully, maybe COVID has affected those numbers where some people are afraid to get out in a group. I don't know. I hope that it leans back the other way. Okay, but here are the 2 negative things, okay? Now that I've said some great things, and there are great things, lots of wonderful fun. As a matter of fact, at one point during the race, Sammy wanted to get a beer, so we walked nude into a beer joint attached to the path of all the walkers, and we went in naked. A few of us fully nude with a backpack on for clothes in case anything happened or we had to put clothes on. But we're naked, and she bought alcohol, and we went in and talked to the people and talked to the customers and walked out. It was great. When we used porta potties, there were clothed people around us talking to us, and just in general, No big deal.
No big deal.
What was that feeling like for you?
It was exciting. At first, when we walked into the liquor store, I thought they were going to say something, but they just looked. It's like, oh, just smiled and said, "Here you go."
They told us the path. They said, "Just make sure you go this way." So that was fun. And now that I've said all the happies, let me tell you my negative. All right, because I don't want to be negative Nelly over here. Bum bum bum. Okay, so one of the negatives was there are spots where they give out water during the race. And so when a bunch of us nudists went over there to get water, there was a large black lady, and she said, "Nobody wants to see that." And then she said, "There are kids here. Keep going." And of course, I had some things to say back to her, if you know me. I had some choice words. But the thing is, she was putting her own insecurities because she was a larger lady. And I think she didn't want to think for a second, here's this other fat guy who's totally comfortable being naked. I could be naked. I could accept myself. I could be okay how I am. But instead, she took that attitude and she tried to speak for everyone when in fact she was only speaking for herself. So when she said, nobody wants to see that. Really? How about the people with the signs who are literally here to see us? So shut up. But anyway, there was that. But even worse than that was the whole event was advertised as clothing optional. And there are mile markers that have large collages of naked people. And at a certain point in the path, you run into the national park. And there were 2 park rangers going rogue. And they were arbitrarily stopping some nudists. And this is where I said, because we were a group of nudists, we were a target. And they came and they told us all we had to put shorts on. Clothes on for Sammy, a shirt. And they said that's because the rules are different in the national park. So yeah, you could be naked out there on the path, but when you come into the park, you have to put clothes on. And, this was a specifically permitted event. That's not the case. And I got into it with him. I called him an idiot. And I told him, you are wrong. And there were lawsuits about this. And I took his name. His name was A. Fisher. A. Fisher. So Aries Fisher, Andrew Fisher, Ahmed Fisher. But that was the guy who particularly got in my face. And I told him what I was going to do. I said, I'm going to put these shorts on to get past you, and then I'm going to take them off. And he didn't have anything to say. I think maybe he knew that would be the case. But so they came down on all of us nudists. And I watched 3 nudists go by while they were accosting us. And I pointed that out. And I said, while you're telling us to put clothes on, 3 nudists just walked by. So, what are you doing? This is stupid. And the other state trooper, I'm sorry, I keep saying state trooper. I mean, a national park ranger Rick. Ranger comes over and he says, listen, you seem like an intelligent guy. You understand. You're going to put clothes on. And I said, so he was like trying to be my friend. He's like, because you're smart. You understand. And I looked at him square in the eye and I said, you're an idiot. I said, I don't understand. You're an idiot. And then he was like, you what? I said, you're an idiot. And I think he was surprised that I would say it, but fuck you. It's called the First Amendment. Bleep that if you need to, pal. But yeah, so we went by them. And then, number one, that tainted the event for me. And I'll explain it like this. Some members of our party were new to naturism. And this was the first time that they were doing a public clothing optional event. And when they asked them to put their clothes on, some of them never took it back off. They ruined it for them. They took that joy away from them. And for the rest of us, we couldn't wait to get naked again, and we did. But now, every time we passed park rangers, we got nervous. My butthole clenched, and I got nasty. Like I started, being on high alert, and I wasn't as carefree and fun. I noticed I was grumpy with some of the people around me, and it was because of that. It was because, am I going to have to go off on somebody when they come up to me? And is that the second offense? Did they call him by walkie-talkie and say, keep your eye out for the fat guy? He's trouble. So that sucked. And, in the bus ride back, because we crossed the finish line, we got our ribbon and our medal, and it was, that felt good to finally accomplish it. And plus, I am a fat guy. My feet have blisters, my calves hurt, but I did it, and we all did it together. But I will say that I was explaining it to some of the folks in the shuttle on the way back because they wanted to be optimistic about the race and how great it was and how fun it was and all this. And I explained to them like this. If I made you a sandwich and it was a delicious sandwich and it was your favorite sandwich, but I put a little bit of shit in it, just a little bit, you could eat around it, would you still come back to my restaurant? And I feel like that's the perfect analogy. So say what you want, but that was a horrible, awful, uneven, unfair spot. And I would like them to take care of that for in the future. Because when we got here and we talked to people about going to Bear to Breakers, a lot of folks were like, oh, it's great. It's fine. It's clothing optional. They love nudity. Oh, no problem. But we ran to a few people who told us. One guy said a cop made him put clothes on for a little bit. And then another person, a lady, told us at the volleyball net that cops got in her and her husband's face and told them, you need to put your clothes on. There's fucking children around here. And that's the wording that he said. So I want to be clear and honest. I want to be open with the listeners and the people out there. If nothing else, I'm transparent. It doesn't matter. The event is permitted, and they literally have mile markers that have naked people on the mile marker. They celebrate it. They know it's a part of the culture. So that was disappointing, and I wanted to share that with all the listeners out there. Before I get out of here, let me ask you about Bear to Breakers. The good, the bad. Would you do it again?
I'd do it again. I would definitely do it again, and I would try to get more of my female friends in on it to balance it out.
That is what Leela said as well. She's a fruitarian who lives here at the resort. She also said she'd like the balance to be better with men and women. So I think that's all nudists feel that same way. Again, this is Tim Chizmar. I'm going to do an epilogue to what I put in there earlier because I was upset about it. I felt like the Bear to Breakers was speaking out of both sides of their mouths. They were trying to have it both ways. They claimed to celebrate nudity, and then they told us to put our clothes on. So that's garbage. I'm in the car right now with Fred and Sammy, and we were discussing the whole incident where the park rangers made us put clothes on, ruined the event for some people who never took their clothes off, and then for the rest of us made us feel tense and uncomfortable anytime we saw a cop or a park ranger. So we're in the car, we're talking about it, we're discussing the legalities, the ordinances, the issues, all this, and with Fred's input, we said, I'm just going to call him. I'm going to call the Golden Gate Park, and I'm going to complain. I'm going to talk to the rangers. And so I called, I spoke to somebody, told him the issue with nudity and how they celebrate it. It's on the mile markers, but then when we go up, they made us put our clothes on. That guy put me through to his supervisor, which at first I thought was a little inside joke, because it turned out the supervisor he put me through to was A. Fisher, the man who was leading those two people, telling everybody to put their clothes on. So at first I was on high alert. Like, this guy who had screened the calls gave a little note to his buddy, like, hey, be prepared. But you know me, I don't mind a fight. So he put me through and we started talking. And I hit him right at the beginning about how that was wrong and unfair and against the permit. It was a permitted event for us to be allowed to be naked. It's celebrated, it's encouraged, it's enthusiastic. And that was wrong for him to have us put our clothes back on. To which he, at first, said that he thought he was very nice and he wasn't rude, and he was trying to, yes, he was making us all put clothes on, but he was trying to act like he didn't do it in a mean way. To which I doubled down and said, what would you have done if we hadn't put our clothes on? And then he said he would have cited us something, to which Fred pointed out, what would he have cited? There was no rule, there was no law. So this could have been a big conundrum. Anyway, but he did back down on that event. He said that 2 hours into the race, he got word from his power-ups, his higher-ups, that that was incorrect, and that there are two events. And he didn't just say the one, he said two. He offered this to us. There are two events that go through Golden Gate Park, and you're allowed to be fully nude. One being Beta Breakers. The second one being Pride. So guess who's going to become gay? No, I'm just saying. There's never been a more advertisement for me to be into dudes. So that is something to celebrate and be encouraged by. And A. Fisher and I had a spirited debate and discussion. I told him we weren't being lewd and sexual. We were simply being alive, and that you don't point to a naked cat or a naked horse and say, oh, look, they're naked. We were just being alive. And I think he understood what I was saying. And if he didn't, he at least knows that it's part of the culture, and that at least for these two events. Now, he did say the park has a rule against nudity normally, typically. But for these two events, it is allowed. So I want to be open and honest and transparent, because I certainly was with my frustration and my anger. And now I want to be with my encouragement, my enthusiasm that this is a place and an event that wholeheartedly supports being nude, being fully nude in public, in a crowd, and it's something that I want to participate in. Oh my God, I'm almost tearing up. I'm such a wimp. It's just beautiful because you don't get to see this very much. So for me, I want to be able to have friends and fans and colleagues and comedians and actors and anybody, even you normies can come. And I want us all to get naked and celebrate the human form, the human body, and being alive. As I'm choking up over here, Fred, what can you say about the call? You were here.
This has happened before. Somebody didn't get the memo, and somebody wasn't interested in looking up to find out if he was really doing the right thing and was just operating on autopilot, assuming it was illegal, and there was no thought process in his head going on. He just assumed it was illegal, even though it wasn't.
It's so weird. It's so weird because it was literally on the mile marker. They advertised on the website. So you would have thought they would have discussed it. So I'm not sure that I 1,000,000% agree that A. Fisher was, taken by surprise that they were naked people. Maybe he had a misconceived notion, but I think if nothing else, he learned that the culture, the environment, and the fact that there's a lot of us and we're not going to stop and we will follow up and there will be Naturist Action Committee and whatever we have to do, because when you got an inch of ground, we don't want to lose it. Crikey, I mean, it would be nice if we could be nude in the park, but at the bare minimum, let us that's right, BARE.
So Tim he lives in Las Vegas. That's where the first time I interviewed him and met him, that's where he was, and that episode was recorded at his apartment in Las Vegas. And but when he was in San Francisco, he stayed at Lupin Lodge, and that's a place I was at in the late 90s, and it was a wonderful resort. It was it's just a lovely space, very large and really well put together, with a great history that goes back to 1935. And you can actually, if you want to hear lots about it or read first about it, there's a very detailed segments on Lupin Lodge's history on Planet Nude, Evan Nix's Planet Nude website, planetnude.co. It's called The Early Chapters of Lupin Lodge, and I'll put a link in the show notes about that. In fact, the very first episode of Naked Age, which was in the beginning on the Naturist Living Show, it's in the feed still, by Evan, the very first episode was about Laura of Lupin, and so about Lupin Lodge and how it started and how she was involved in it. So that's an interesting one. Also, there'll be a link in the show notes. And the latest news, which happened after Tim interviewed Lori Kay, is that Lori Kay Stout, who is the current owner, the wife of the late Glenn Stout, who was the most recent owners, the two of them. And she's announced her retirement, and the listing price for Lupin was set at almost $33,000. That's $33 million. And that's an enormous amount of money, although there are some people working to purchase it. But at that value, that must be because there's a lot of development potential, because I have trouble imagining how a naturist resort could make that kind of money unless it was much larger than Lupin that I remember it being. So again, there's a story on Planet Nude that Evan wrote on this, and I'll put a link into that in the show notes as well. But let's listen to Tim's interview with Lori Kay Stout and his experience at Lupin.
Action!
Hi everyone, Sammy Sin coming at you from Lupin Lodge, where the Vagina Waterfall is right behind us. It's awesome and beautiful. And with me I have Charlie and Dave. Well, Dave, what was the first thing that brought you to Lupin Lodge? How did you first come across it?
I don't remember exactly how I first came across it. Like I would visit, I knew it was here. I'd come out a time or two a year. And then COVID happened and shut down the world. And all of a sudden, all the normal activities I did just ceased to exist. And conveniently, this place was still open because this place was mostly outdoors. Most of the activities you do at Lupin here are outdoors, hiking the trails, doing that sort of thing. So it was still open, and it was a chance to, go someplace, get some extra vitamin D, which helped too. So that was when I actually joined as a member, and I've been coming since then. Mostly in the summer. It gets a little cold here in the winter and I don't show up as much. But yeah, so that was when I kind of dove more into it and started coming more regularly.
Nice. How about you, Charlie? What brought you to Lupin Lodge? How did you discover it?
Well, I've been a naturist for quite many years, and I used to live in New York. And so when I would travel on business, California was a very desirable place for various meetings. And so we would meet in San Francisco or Los Angeles. And since I've been a naturist for a long time, I naturally would look for the resorts in the area, and Lupin was one of the first ones. So I thought, well, that's great. I will go there, and then I found how to get here and go visit and stay overnight, and then go back to the conference or whatever, and that worked out very well. And then after that was probably 10 years before I moved out to California, and as soon as I moved out, I live about 20 minutes away, 25 minutes. One of the first things I did was join Lupin Lodge as a member. So I've been coming here now for 25 years, the same length of time as I've been doing everything else I've done when I've been in California. So
you do happen to live in one of the closest communities that you can live in without actually living on Lupin itself.
Right. Yeah, and I like being home, and we have a private lot, and I can have pool parties there. But I like being here with all the friends that are here. And Lupin is not only a naturist club; it's somewhat of a community. A lot of people, some people live here, and they get to know each other. So, for instance, we have a group of people that like to come to karaoke nights and come in there and sing. Doesn't matter if you get all the notes right, you just have a good time. And we're just singing and playing, and dances. They have dances. I love to dance. So come here. It's a community center as well as a naturist resort. And I also like it that they're very careful to make sure that women are welcome and find it to be a safe environment. So that's a lot of the things that attracted me to Lupin. Plus, I get to play guitar. There's a stage up there, and they have Saturday music on the lawn. So I'll bring my guitar and play either acoustic guitar, or else there's bands, and sometimes we get together and learn a few tunes together and play those. And it's a lot of fun seeing naked people out in the restaurant lawn dancing. I'll tell you, this is prime.
Sounds like a sight to see.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. They have a drawing class, and I've gone out and run the drawing class, and Charlie usually just serenades us on his guitar in the background as we're doing the class. And yeah, it makes for great ambiance and nice environment that I enjoy a lot.
Hey. So what's probably one of your favorite things, least favorite things? What keeps bringing you back?
One of my favorite things are just the hiking trails. I love to hike naked and just kind of experience nature as I think it was intended to be. So here's a place where I could do that like legally, and I don't have to worry about running into random strangers and things like that. And they've got a couple miles of trails here. They've got a nice labyrinth. They've got a scenic viewpoint where you can view Highway 9 in the distance. So that's probably my favorite activity. One of the things I guess I wish they had an archery range on the property. They have one at Laguna del Sol, like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And I do archery back out in the clothed world. And it'd be something I'd like to do here. Although this is probably one of the flattest spots on the entire grounds. This whole property is on a hillside, which is not super conducive to archery. But there's maybe a spot or two where they could fit something in. So I'd love to see something like that.
Okay. How about you, Charlie? What's one of your favorite things or least favorite things to do, and what keeps bringing you back?
Well, I want to first of all mention the general naturist thing of being underneath a grove of redwoods, the water, and we have this lawn here. I get to feel the gentle summer winds coming over my body. To me, that's the main thing. But also, I love playing music, and I love being involved with music here. But I also already mentioned that a little bit.
It's also not uncommon for like deer to walk right through here, or for wild turkeys to land and even see them walk right across the parking lot. So wildlife is definitely a part of the premises too.
And plus they have cats. They don't allow dogs, but they do have cats. There's a lot of cats that go around, And the cats have learned to avoid the mountain lion that comes down every once in a while.
Natural selection working there.
This is a place. It's not far from the big, San Jose urban center, but it is out in the country.
It is.
And so I just love
30 minutes from the airport, and yet you feel like you're miles away.
Well, I know it's definitely been a lot of fun, and I definitely would probably come back.
It's me, it's him, it's TIM right here at Lupin Lodge, and I am sitting here in the swing by the clubhouse with the owner, the operator, the woman who makes it all happen. I'm here with Lori Kay. Lori, thanks for coming on the show with us.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm glad you guys are here on such a beautiful day.
This is gorgeous, and it's been so fun to be here on the grounds and to see how it all comes together and see the number one thing I'm walking away from this place is personality.
Yeah.
It's just the community, the people. That's what really makes it for me, and the wild animals. I mean, where else are you going to see deer and peacocks? And, I've heard rumors of a skunk and, turkeys? There's turkeys here?
Yeah, we have way too many turkeys now. Yeah, we do have a lot of wild animals. And most of the animals, like the deer, they're not afraid of people. We've coexisted with them for, decades, and so they're not scared. In fact, they eat most of the fruit from our orchard, and so and our members actually hand feed them apples sometimes. So yeah, it's beautiful here. We're in Silicon Valley, but we feel like you're really remote with the redwoods and all the wild animals, but we're only actually 5 miles from downtown Los Gatos.
Well, it sounds like you're just a few miles from all the big wigs in Silicon Valley, like all the big movers and shakers in the computer world.
Yes, we sure are. And it reflects in our membership because we have a lot of people that are in tech. We were wired in with Wi-Fi, from the beginning in the 90s. And if our Wi-Fi goes down, we hear about it. So, I would say at least a third of our membership is from the tech industry.
Fascinating. Well, you were telling me a little bit about the history, about where it came from, how it got started, and I appreciate a lot of that. I know you've been on Clothes for You before. Corky specifically asked me to ask about Anner.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of controversy in and out. Can we just get a brief overview of that?
Sure. Lupin's been involved with Anner and not involved in Anner, since the 50s. At times we were an Anner Club. At times we weren't an Anner Club. The last time we weren't an Anner Club was not our choice. We were told that we had a sexual event here called the Fox Hunt, which we did have the event here, but it was a non-sexual event, and we got voted out of Anner. And then after my late husband died, we are back in as an Anner Club, and I would have to say the 88 years we've been here, we've always been family friendly, and we do not promote this to be a sexual environment. We want everyone that comes here to feel comfortable.
I think that's reflected in what we've seen. There's been a great range of ages, everybody from babies to, would you say 90-some?
95 years old is one of our oldest members. In fact, we have a member that joined as a child with his aunt and uncle in the 50s, and he's still a member.
That's fun. That's really great. Well, I was able to stay in a yurt. I didn't know anything about yurts before. I was confusing it with yogurt, and I was like, where's the fruit? So it was. I'm curious, these different yurts, they come in different sizes and amenities. What is the range like for yurt living?
Well, to go back, why we have the yurt, Lupin was 7 miles from the epicenter from the big 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. So we lost over 13 buildings, including our lodge. And to replace some of these buildings while we were rebuilding, including putting a pool inside of our pool because it cracked, we put up all these yurts. And we have different sizes from 30-foot diameter, 24-foot diameter, and the ones that we use that are like motel rooms with a bed, a desk. Some of them have mini fridges and chairs. Are only 16-foot diameter, but people love them. They are so popular, and people say they love looking at the skylight and seeing the trees above or the stars above, and it has a very cozy feeling. Would you say so? Because it's circular.
Yes, it's also trippy. It's a little bit like a what do they call that?
you work in art, so you would know. There's an image where it catches your eyes to look a certain way, and it's not really. At night, when I look up, sometimes it felt like I was looking down a hallway instead of looking straight up. Something about everything pushing at one point.
Yeah, so a lot of people have different experiences. Some people love it when it's raining to hear and being so close to nature. So we've kept our yurts. We've added a few more yurts. We would love to put more. It's just that we have, draconian county ordinances and from other regulators.
So all the yurts come with that skylight at the top?
Yeah, they do. We specifically buy from Pacific Yurts out of Oregon, and when we went to Willamettans for a conference or a convention, we stopped by to see where they were made, and we were just totally pleased. In fact, after the earthquake, we had so many people visiting here, including the county, on studying how we did our yurts, how we put them up, and a lot of them copied us, and we think that's great because yurts are very environmental, and we try to be as environmental as we can here.
That's great. We took a couple of different trails. One of them was down by the creek, and we saw some homes, like full-on houses. Are they associated, or is that a different plot of land?
You mean the houses up here on the ridge?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So, no, we have Henry's Creek is where we have our license permitted water operation and plant, just like a small town. And above it, which I've never been able to hike that high up because I'm not a mountain goat, are some houses on the ridge. And we do have cabins here, but the houses you're talking about are not part of the Lupin property.
Okay, I had no idea. With the woods and the wilderness, anybody ever talk about Bigfoot? Is this Bigfoot territory?
No, I actually haven't heard about Bigfoot, but I do know that when I thought we had a Bigfoot here, because we have about 112 acres, and a lot of wildlife here. So I always thought this scary noise could potentially be a Bigfoot. Like, what's making that noise outside my cabin? And it turns out it was a skunk.
What? How big were his feet?
The skunk was really small, but they make really, really a lot of noise, and I felt really embarrassed that I was scared all those times I heard that kind of noise.
Well, what would you like the people out there who may be hearing about Lupin Lodge for the very first time to know in coming here for their first time? What can they expect? What's it going to be like?
Well, I think people would really enjoy our really, easygoing vibe here. We have a great community. We have a lot of really interesting programming, and fortunately, because we're, in the Bay Area and part of Silicon Valley, we have a lot of, new things and new ideas that come to the club or we bring to the club. And I think if you're looking for a place to feel, comfortable with your body and with all ages and all genders, I think Lupin's a good place for you. So check out our website, www.lupinlodge.com, or give our office a call.
Sounds great. All right. Well, Clothes Free is a huge supporter of you and Lupin Lodge, and I know you've had great things to say about Corky, so we are so happy to have you back on the show, and let's not make it so long until we have you on again.
Well, thank you, Tim. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Naturist Living Show. Thank you for listening. Again, my name is Stéphane Deschaines. I'm your host for this podcast and the owner of Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. Thank you, Tim, for putting together and recording this and thinking of us when you travel and you see and do interesting things. I also make this show with a lot of help from Samantha Graham, who makes the task of editing and producing so much easier because she does all the time-consuming editing in particular. The Naturist Living Show theme music is The Day We Met by Mark Hodges. Please support us on Patreon. As you heard, we have a number of people who support us, and we'd love you, if you are not currently supporting us, to be one of them. At just a few dollars a month, it makes a big difference. None of the money comes to me. It's all to support the production and Samantha specifically, because she spends time on it, putting it together. Their show's Patreon is patreon.com/Naturist Living Show. One word, of course. You can find links to all the items I mentioned in the show notes on the website at naturistliving.show.com. Again, naturistliving.show, one word.com. Please keep sending your comments and suggestions. We really appreciate getting them. We read them all or listen to them all, even if we don't always have time to reply. And we do appreciate the feedback and the kind words people send us. The show's email address is contact@naturistliving.show.com. I hope you enjoy the show and that you'll join us again for the next episode of the Naturist Living Show.
So I'm going to get out of here. I will ask a favor of Mr. Stefan Deshane at Bear Oaks. When I did my Noodles of Noodlin interview, he never played my theme song for the movie. And I would like, if I may request, can we go out with the Noodles of Noodlin music? Mr. Stefan Deshane, take me away.
Here is Timmy, not close-minded, looking for love, wants to find it. Let's meet loose, woman of fashion, but then got fired for her nudist passion. There's a place of sun and sand on Natural. They call it Nudeland. It's parts unknown. It's a new day, and they are naked but not afraid. A body positive land. The noodles of Nudeland. The noodles of Nudeland. Nude isn't lewd with the noodles of Nudeland. There's barbed wire, tough as an army vet, with no uniform to absorb her sweat. And hippy-dippy Mondo man, obsessed with burritos, I don't understand. Also Journey, an artsy sister, shining her light to Mrs. and Misters. If you're clothes free, avoid D-man's eyes. Maybe chunky dunk or hide in the vines. The noodles of Newland. The noodles of Newland. Animals don't wear pants.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show was brought to you by Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. Traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Traditional values means that naturism is more than just taking your clothes off. It is a life philosophy with physical, psychological, environmental, social, and moral benefits. Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park strives to promote those naturist values in a modern setting that provides the amenities and services that our members and visitors expect. Free your body, free your mind. Learn more at www.bearoaks.ca.
lot of good reactions to us being naked. A lot of people were all for it. It was a great experience.
I'm glad you enjoyed your first time.
What do you think, Charlie? What do you think?
Well, I didn't know until just now it was your first time, but for one thing, it's great to walk through San Francisco, and they don't charge extra if you do it naked. So what a bargain!
Right.
And you get to go walking through the park and.
Okay, pause. Hey guys, we're filming, just so you know.
Wait. When you do the intro this time, mention the waterfall.
All right, everyone. Sammy Sin coming at you live from the Vagina Waterfall behind me here at the Lupin Lodge. It's very slippery and wet. We just got back.
Hold it for a little bit because he has credits go by. So until next time, have fun and stay naked.
Okay.
Take a deep breath, relax, get ready, enthusiasm, and...
So until next time, have fun and stay naked.